Good evening, everyone. Along with Eddie Olczyk, Mike Emmerich from Boston, Massachusetts. An historic city. Not only American history, but hockey history.
How about a little sports history as well? Championships, that's what it's based on. And every time you turn around, some team in Boston is winning a championship, including the Boston Bruins in recent memory. The Bruins can play any way you want. You want to play a speed game, they can play that. You want to play a tough game, they like playing that way.
Ooh, Edie.
Chara's out there for the start. They know he can.
All right, guys, welcome to a Boston Bruins midseason review. Today we've got some NHL 15 gameplay going on in the background. Along my trusted partner, Mr. Evan Medina, EM Ultra.
How are you guys?
Figure we do a little something different here, spice things up. And they almost just scored there. So we did a little preview of the season, and we kind of said how we're kind of worried about this team lacking things with some of the stuff they did, but so far we were right, I think, coming in being worried about things.
Yeah, I mean, I think our concerns were more about the defensive aspect of the team, but I think that honestly the biggest problem has been the offensive aspect of this team.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't really have that guy who can put the puck in the net and score them the goals they need. And it's been really evident here. I think they've lost a lot of games because they just can't get that one extra goal that you'd love them to get. And they get some good opportunities, just do not capitalize on said opportunities, right?
The game's changed over the last
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. They don't have that guy. Like I said, they had that spot void missing, kind of missing a winger. Kind of have enough Providence guy to play in there. But Seth Griffin's had some amazing goals so far this season. I'll say that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's still the solution there they want to go with.
Yeah,
but they definitely need to fix their offense. They need to get another winger, somebody.
Yeah, they need to make a move or two. I mean, this is when you kind of look back to Jerome again on how much he was such a key aspect of that team last year. And it's just more or less because of the fact that he gave you 30 goals. I mean, if nothing else, he gave you 30 goals. So, but, you know, I think that they need that guy who's going to really put up 20 or 30 for them. And right now, at the pace they're at, they're going to be lucky if they have anybody who puts up 20 goals for them this year. And the guys that you do expect to maybe have close to 20 or 20 this year, like Lucic and Bergeron, are just not, they're not playing to the level that we're used to seeing them at.
Yeah.
They need another guy, and they might need to make a move or two here before the deadline in order to have a playoff run. I mean, right now, like we talked about before, they wouldn't even make the playoffs if the playoffs were to start today. So
Yeah, I mean, at the rate they're going, they're not going to make the playoffs. And this is not the time to rebuild.
No.
Because they signed Craig to a 6-year deal. They signed Bergeron to 7, Rast to a 7. There's no reason to start rebuilding when you have those guys locked in for that long.
Right. And you still have a lot of really good guys already in your system. So,
yeah, I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot with some of the stuff, the move they made, like overpaying Chris Kelly.
Oh, God.
That, you know, if
I
he's
mean,
paid lower money,
you can even look back on the Sagan trade and say that what they got for it wasn't enough. It's not the fact that they traded Sagan, it's they didn't get enough for it.
Yeah.
Because I think the Sagan trade was still a smart one. And I know a lot of people may not agree with that, even though because he's, you know, the leading point scorer in the NHL right now or whatever. But it's not even that. That's not why I think it was a smart trade. I think why it was a smart trade is because he just wouldn't work here. He's doing great in Dallas because he's meant for that system. He fits the Dallas mold right now. And
I don't think he's scoring 40 goals here. So.
No, he wouldn't, because the way that the Bruins have a style, he's one of those guys who isn't going to chase pucks. And that's the kind of guy that you need. That's why people rumoring the whole Lucic being moved would not really be the best move, because he is that kind of guy who's not afraid to put his head down and, you know, chase after pucks. And some of these guys that the Bruins have had that come out of the system that is supposed to be like big prospects end up not turning out that well for this team because of that reason. And that's what Sagan has done.
Right.
There would be. You know? And I mean, they did kind of give up on him, I guess, a little soon, but I still think it was a good move in terms of moving him. But I just don't think they got enough for him, because Eriksson is really underperforming, in my opinion.
Yeah. You know, speaking of, you know, trades and stuff, now, do you think trading Lucic or Krejci or Rast for Tyler Hall is a good move?
I mean, I don't think it's a terrible move, but out of the 3 guys, I think Rask is the one you got to make sure you hang on to. Yeah. Tuukka Rask has a huge future here.
I mean, the way I kind of look at it is, you trade Lucic for Hall. I'm okay with it. The thing is, what I feel like though is that Hall won't fit in the system. The system is a defensive team, hard-hitting team. Their system isn't made for goal scorers like him or saying, and that's why he's saying he's scoring 40 now. Nobody can score 40 goals on this team. It's just an even pace.
But I mean, the best goal scorer they did have was Iginla last year, and he was a little more of a hard hitter. But still, I will say, I do think Taylor Hall would fit with Boston. I do, a lot more so than a Tyler Seguin. That's for sure. But I don't know, man. I mean,
I think you got to keep Krejci. He's your #1 center right now. Yeah, I know he's been out for a while. Yeah, I think that's really hurt him too. Him not really on the ice this year.
Krejci and Bergeron are your 2 best centers. So
you got to keep your centers.
You got to keep those 2. I think. I think they're like, honestly, when Krejci's healthy, he's as good as anybody. The problem is this year he just hasn't been on the ice a lot.
And I think that's it is showing that it's hurting this team.
It really is.
They're just playing musical chairs with the younger talent and the farm system. That only works for so long.
I agree with that.
Blows up in your face.
Yeah,
you can do it for a little bit of period of time.
Yeah.
And the Char injury definitely hurt him, but that wasn't really the problem.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
just wasn't scoring for him.
They actually played pretty good without Char, which surprised me because he was obviously their biggest thing defensively. I mean, people have even rumored Char getting moved, and it's not a terrible idea only because the guy is getting older. But I still think he's such a valuable asset to the Bruins that I don't think it would be good to move him right now. But obviously, defensively, they are at a bad spot, and they should have, found a way to keep Boychuk. I mean, it really would have been great if they could have just held on to him, because he's one defenseman that really, belonged here still. And I think that they really felt the fact that he isn't here anymore over this season. And they're losing games because of that one mistake. And the fact that there's always a situation or two during different games where I've noticed them have opportunities, to clear the zone, and then they end up making one too many passes, or they have let's just say they have a 3-on-2 or even a 2-on-1, going up ice, and they make an extra pass that just didn't need to happen.
Right.
As I've already heard multiple times and talked about with others off recording. Honestly, one of the biggest things too is when they're on the power play, they just do this whole dump and chase kind of play, which works sometimes, but there's a reason why they're like 1 for their last 25 on face-offs. I mean, on power plays, it's because they're always wasting some time chasing pucks in the corner, and then they lose the puck battles in the corner, and so you're literally wasting your own time. I mean, they're not aggressive enough. They're a little too passive. I think that's a good way to describe them.
That's definitely a great way to describe them. I mean, honestly, they need some kind of score on this team. I know the system, like I just said, they need something. They need something to rejuvenate what they have on offense. Exactly. They have a solid squad.
They really do. I just think this might be a team that's more
just meant
to win in like 2 years than this year. And as it's already been mentioned, and I agree completely, they're really not a powerhouse in the East anymore. And it's really weird to say that, especially because last year they were the #1 team. So, but obviously that didn't really matter because they lost in the second round to Montreal. So
they're not gonna, if they make the playoffs, they're not going to get deep this year.
They won't get deep if they get stuck against Montreal again. I'll tell you that much, because that team just absolutely kills them.
Yeah.
But even another thing that's to mention too is the fact that the Bruins tend to take a lot of shots near the point, almost too many near the point, in my opinion, and they don't drive to the net enough sometimes. And like I said, too many passing plays at different opportunities too. So I think they kind of shoot themselves in the foot in that way.
Yeah,
but it's a tough game. Obviously, hockey's
they've lost some tough games, but they should have won.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have a lot of 1-goal losses, and the problem is you get no credit for that. It doesn't matter.
I'd rather have had lost these in overtime. They at least get a point for those.
Exactly. Yeah.
You look at it; they only have like 2 overtime losses.
Yeah. They're not very good on the shootout, though. And again, that's the proof of why their offense is just not where you would want it to be. And playoff teams usually have a solid offense and a solid power play and a solid penalty kill.
And Rask hasn't been that great this year, let's be honest.
He has had his ups and downs. He has stretches of time where I think he's been excellent, and stretches of time where
I just bang my head off the wall, like, what is he doing?
Yeah, he's been really shaky, especially on the road. I mean, the whole team's a lot more shaky on the road, but still. Like that one West Coast trip they had a couple weeks back was
just terrible.
Of course, they beat up Arizona, but that's they scored 5 goals in that game, and they scored like 6 goals the other 3 games combined.
Yeah.
So,
what Soderbergh could do that in real life?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I don't know. I am worried about this team because if the way they keep playing now, they're not making the playoffs. And that's going to be just really bumming. They've been in the playoffs almost every year for several years, and we're just, as Boston fans, we've been used to that.
Yes.
We don't even care about the regular season. We're like, oh yeah, it's just regular season. But guess what? All those bandwagon fans that come in the playoffs around here, they're going to come out and be like, we're the Bruins. And be like, hey, we didn't want you to see this season.
They're going to start, filing
they're
away.
They're going to follow a different team.
Yeah, they're going to be gone real fast. A lot of them.
But for us who are actually diehards, it's going to be hard watching the playoffs. I mean, I love the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It was hard to watch the playoffs even last year with them losing in the second round.
Yeah.
It felt weird not to see them go at least to the conference finals, considering the fact that they won the President's Trophy last year. More of that than anything else. But
yeah, it was hard, and it's going to be hard if they don't make the playoffs. It takes the enjoyment a little bit out of when your team's not in it, but
it really does.
There we go. They need to do something. They need to make a move.
Yes.
I was hearing on 98.5 Sports Hub, guys called in to Falgar Mez, and he said that he's at the game, actually ran into Cam Neely, didn't really talk to him, just kind of saw him walking by, and he looked like after they lost, I think, to Buffalo or something like that. He said the look on his face was he was white as a ghost, like, fuck, I am screwed here, we need to do something.
Yes.
This is not going to work. We need to do something.
Sure. They have a lot of
at least I don't know how true that story was when the guy called in. We wouldn't chance to run it to Cam.
I bet it's pretty accurate. I mean, I look also at the fact that some people want to blame Claude Julien for some of this poor play.
Not his fault.
I really don't think there's a way to blame Claude Julien for this. This falls on the guys on the ice here. I think Claude Julien's a really good coach in a lot of ways. And he's always coached his team very well. I mean, he coached them to the Cup, first of all. And secondly, he's been very consistent in terms of getting them to the playoffs and deep into the playoffs multiple times. I mean, they've played for a Cup twice. They've been in the conference finals multiple times here. And this is not just some franchise that's been just, in the playoffs every year and losing the first round. I mean, they
do things to get there.
Yeah, I mean, they have made visible improvements. And this is the only offseason going into this year that I noticed them really drop the ball in terms of making any improvements they needed to make. So,
you and me both know very well that the Bruins always every year really start very slow. Yeah, but this is the slowest I've seen in years, honestly.
Yeah, well,
5 to 7, they get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
and they have not got the ball rolling.
But just such a poor start. Not a lack of effort, but just a lack of the ability to capitalize on opportunities.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I am really, concerned about. They turn the puck over a little too much, like I said, and their power play is just really rough right now. Actually, the power play started off pretty hot this year.
Yeah.
And it's gotten ice cold now these last number of weeks here. So
I'm telling you, roster move would do some good for this team.
Yeah, it would.
I'm not saying trade one of your stars.
They need another forward, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They're depending too much on guys who don't have enough NHL experience to be, a top 6, a top 9 here, and you're asking for too much. You're asking for too much from young guys. It's just flat out not good. There's almost too much youth. I mean, having youth on a team is a good thing for the future because then you're going to have those guys for years to come. But it's also not always the best thing because you don't have enough veterans. And you don't have enough guys who you can say, oh, yeah. And, a couple of those veterans you do have, like Chris Kelly, are not really all that valuable. Right. He just doesn't matter anymore. I'd much rather...
He's getting paid too much.
Yeah, I just assume not even have him anymore at this point.
I say trade him for anything.
A couple years ago, I felt very strongly about Chris Kelly.
I feel like going back to the Sagan trade, Eriksson and Smith are starting to become a little bit much of deadweights on this team.
Especially Eriksson to me. I don't know. I think Eriksson, his projected value is a lot higher than the way that he's been playing. I think he's been severely underplaying. And I think Smith has been non-existent. Who the fuck is Riley Smith? I mean, last year he made some noise. I actually thought Riley Smith had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
This year he's been like dead quiet in comparison. He's got a few goals, but it's not even just about the goal scoring. It's just about the overall play. I feel like he's not even on the ice that much anymore, But I will say I do think Carl Soderberg has been a very nice player that the Bruins picked up. I think he's been very solid for them. Really good on the third line. Third liners aren't going to get you a Stanley Cup. Yeah, I mean, their first two lines of offense, I feel like, are just really weak. And this is a team that, the last 2-3 years we've been all saying, wow, what's so impressive about this team is the fact that they have 3 really good lines, and their fourth line is really fun to watch too. Like, they have 4 fun, good, well-rounded lines. And I mean, I know Sean Thornton wasn't a huge deal, but he was really good for the energy on this club. So I kind of wish they still had Thornton.
Yeah, I do too.
Because the guy they got to replace him, Robbins, has done nothing.
Yeah, and even Gagne,
Yeah, Gagne's out with some undisclosed personal time or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that.
I don't know what.
I don't get to watch every game.
I have no idea what's up with that, but he's out for an undisclosed period of time due to some personal issues. Again, I mean, I understand things come up, but just another guy.
Why could have just signed Thornton for the?
I would have rather seen them just keep Thornton. I don't even care. I wish they still had Boychuk too. I'll tell you that much. Because
and all that was like the start to fall. You can sense there was a fall of something.
Right. I mean, honestly, like this year has been the weakest they've looked since the mid-2000s. So that's not a good thing.
That's a pretty long time.
It is a long time. It's a good thing to be able to say that, but at the same time, it's also just like, wow. Here we are at a point in time where this team that has looked so strong.
It's not a rebuild time, like I just said. It's not. You look at who you signed.
There's way too much potential on this team still. I mean, you still got Malcolm Subban coming up through the developmental.
And I hear they're going to maybe even trade that. But
I wouldn't mind trading him more because I feel like Rask is so good that he'd be okay to trade. And I think that Svedberg has really been good as a backup. To talk about goaltending for a minute, I think Svedberg has been really good. He had a really good game the other night. He has been excellent.
What is it with the Bruins and their backup goalies?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, man, these last couple they've had have been very good. So, and that's a good thing. It's great. When you have a reliable backup, you already know your team's a hell of a lot better.
Now, like I said, goaltending here has never been an issue, and that's still not an issue here in this team. Yeah, Rasmus looks shaky, but at the end of the day, if you don't score, that doesn't help either.
Yeah, at times. But usually most of the offenses he gives up a lot of goals to, are offenses that you would expect him to give up more goals to.
Yeah, speaking of Eriksson.
Right? Yeah, I know. Once in a while, he'll do something good. I mean, again, I don't hate Eriksson. I actually like him a lot, but I think he's the kind of guy who just does not work with Boston. And he's not going to end up being something we're going to look to in the future. I think he's a guy maybe to look to trade.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If you want to unload with Eriksson and Smith, go for it. You get Tyler Hall, fine.
Yeah, imagine that the Sagan deal. I mean, I don't even know if they would take that deal, but hey, if they would,
it's Edmonton. They're not that great of a franchise.
I mean, Edmonton literally doesn't have much to be thankful for here right now. They're probably at the worst place in all of hockey right now.
Yeah, so, that's pretty shame for them too,
Oh yeah, they've had a good franchise in the past.
Yeah,
very good. But yeah, they've just kind of hit rock bottom. But the Bruins are not headed in that direction, if you ask me. I think they got way too much down in Providence, and they've got a lot of. And you've seen some of it, come up to the NHL at times when the Bruins need that one extra guy. He comes up and plays well. There's no doubt about that.
Their farm system's great. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, it is. But the thing is, though, you're relying too heavily on the youth, like we've talked about. So
right. I mean, looking forward, I think everyone here can agree, they need to make a move. I've been saying that since the beginning of the season. I've been telling you every day, they need to make a move. When are they going to make a move? Hey, they need to make a move, And they're just procrastinating. And the longer you wait, though, I feel like the less of a chance that you're going to get a good deal.
Yeah.
Because then you rush things.
Well, hopefully they've been thinking in their minds, hey, this is
at least they've been brewing something big we don't know about.
Yeah, so that would be good.
Trade away half their team.
Yeah, well, that's not really. I don't think they need to do anything like that. Yeah. But certainly, an extra forward would be really key.
Yeah, I mean, even look at free agent. I don't know who's a free agent right now, but I'm sure they could look at free agency and sign somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they should have a long time ago.
I think so too.
I mean, I know Dustin Penner was a free agent. I don't know why they didn't bother go picking him up. At least that would have been something.
Right.
You know, he's been solid before, and I don't know. I think he signed with some. I don't know who he signed with. I want to say he signed with Lost. I don't know. But even when he was, you know, he even dropped the ball with Michael Ryder when they could have signed him, I think, a year or two ago, and that still he wasn't the greatest.
Yeah, somewhat, but I will say he wanted more money than they were going to give him, and I don't blame them for not giving him that extra money. Because he's very streaky, we both know that.
Yeah.
He can be, when he's on, he's really good, but you know, he goes through stretches. But I will say in the playoffs, he always performs well.
Yeah.
So he would have been good to have, you know, in these last couple of postseasons. But he was good the year that they won the cup, you know. But again, a guy that just wanted a little more than he's worth. But it's just too bad that they couldn't like make a sacrifice for Boychuk. I just feel like he was the kind of guy to keep defensively.
People get Blake Wheeler.
Yeah, yeah, I know Blake Wheeler. Yeah,
what a baby.
Most of the guys that they had that they didn't keep have been good moves because they just either don't fit into the Bruins system, and let's be honest here, the Bruins system isn't necessarily one that's easy to fit into.
Yeah,
it's really old school hockey.
It's not the best system because they won a Stanley Cup and made it in Stanley Cup and lost in Stanley Cup the past 2 or 3 years, but it works. It's going to work eventually. But it's not the way you want to really go.
Right. Well, I mean, they have a very old school style to them, and they've always been this way.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, they're still the big bad Bruins. You know, they're the same type of team that they've been in the past.
Well, there are a lot of flaws to that because when there's one flaw with that is having that many guys that are in that system. They're all even scores, and if they all seem to go dry at once at one point.
Right,
there was a similar problem as 2-3 years ago where they could not score any goals at all. The power play was like 2% at one time.
Yeah, they go through
the
these
one year.
bad
I think the year they lost to the Flyers.
Yeah. Such bad lapses that year.
During that lapse, I think that in the first round, whoever they played, they didn't score a power play goal for 20 attempts or something like that in the playoffs or something like that.
I think they played Buffalo in the first round.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was bad.
But even the year they won the cup, they didn't score a power play goal through the first 2.5 rounds or more.
maybe that was what that's what I'm thinking of. It's hard to remember my years here.
When that whole series against Montreal, I don't think they had one, and I don't even think they had one against Philly. I mean, they swept Philly, but still, they were scoring a lot of goals in that postseason. But
it's been some bad times.
Still, even the year they won the cup was a very hard run. The easiest run they would have had was 2013, and they lost to a great Blackhawks team. But that Blackhawks team is solid from up and down. I mean, they are good from top to bottom. That's as good of an NHL team as there is. I don't care what anybody says.
But wrapping up real quick, because this game is wrapping up. Do you think they'll make the playoffs right now? Or do you think they'll make playoffs going forward?
I think they'll turn it on going into the second half of the season. I do think they'll be better. The months of February and March are going to be really big for them.
Yep.
Especially those are those stretch months. Like last year they had such a good March. They almost were unbeatable that month. But I'll tell you this much: I think they are definitely going to have a better second half than the first half. I think. I mean, again, could be dead wrong, and they could have a terrible half. But at the rate they're at, they're probably going to end up in the bottom 3 seeds of the playoffs if they even make it, and it's not looking good. If they make a move or two, I think they certainly have a shot at the top 4. They're not going to end up in first or second this year. I think this will be a team that will be the 4th seed at the very best. This isn't going to be a Stanley Cup season for Boston. I would be very surprised.
Yeah.
A lot of things would have to fall.
I'm with you on that. I think they can turn it around.
Yeah,
you need to make some moves.
A turnaround is definitely possible. A good team that can potentially get through at least one round of the playoffs, certainly. With a move or two, especially. But I don't think this is a Stanley Cup championship team right now.
Yeah.
Too many other good teams in both the Eastern and especially the Western Conference. But
yeah,
that's just
I think the same thing too. But we're just gonna wrap this up here. But we'll try to get another analyze, review maybe one or two before the playoffs,
sure.
If we make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we may be doing our end of season review very early this year.
Well, I mean, we could also do a playoff preview for the teams that do make it if they're.
Yeah, but we could do that.
So,
we'll see what we do. Yeah. Maybe spring.
And if they make any big moves,
we'll definitely be around
those too.
We got busy lives, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you watch, and I hope you guys don't get confused. It's not a GM video. By any means, but we're 2 of the 3 of the owners on that. But thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll put his Twitter, my Twitter, and his YouTube. Just be sure to subscribe and follow us if you want to hear more. We're always open to talk on Twitter about stuff.
Yep.
So thanks for watching, guys.